Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. It is August 28th, just about 9:30 in the morning, and I'm out here in the bee yard again for another weekly check of the hives. Mainly just to top off the feeders. I'm gonna pull a few frames just to make sure the hives are still queen right, and that'll be it for today. So I have 7 hives now that need feed. I've been making 5 gallons of feed, which is very usual. So for this week, I'm just gonna have to provide about 3/4 of a gallon per hive, and then next week just make more feed than I have been. But I have been feeding the hives a thinner ratio, so not 1-to-1, but maybe 1 to 1.5. And this is one of the hives I'm very curious about. They have a new queen. She's maybe 2 months old. I marked her about a month ago, but right before I started recording, I took a look at this hive right here, this small opening, and as you just saw, we got bees bringing in some very nice pollen. So I'm not ready to start supplementing the hives with a pollen substitute just yet because they're finding it. But I have been feeding them for a while to stimulate brood production, and they can turn that into food stores as well. So let's get into the hives and see how they're looking for this week. All right, down here at the very first hive, which is hive number 5, just pop the lid off. The bees are being pretty calm right now, but it looks like they've been using the sugar water and really drawing out some nice wax. So I'm just going to pull a frame or two and see if the queen has started to use or continue to use the top box to expand the brood chamber. I'd say they're using the sugar water just a little bit. It's also kind of odd to be building comb on the bottom like that, so let's do some cleanup. Alright, I did not find any brood in the top box. In fact, it looks like this colony is really using the sugar water and drawing out all the frames in the top box and filling the cells with food stores. So I just found a queen last week and marked her. I'm just looking for brood and to make sure they're still queen right. Alright, so outside frame, that's not uncommon not to find any brood. Let's look at the center frame here. Alright, here we go. We got some capped brood, which is nice. Some larvae in various stages. I'm really looking for eggs. Let me grab my flashlight real quick. Alright, yeah, we have eggs, so they're still queen right. That's all I wanted to check for, just a little more than the previous weeks. Gonna top them off with some feed, and that is it for number 5. So they are still queen right. Alright, considering I've been feeding the bees for quite a few weeks now, if not close to a month, no surprise that the bees have used every drop of the feed. But before I feed them, same thing. I'm just gonna take off the top feeder, get into the top box, see if the queen started to use that as an extension to the brood chamber, and if I can't find any evidence that they are queen right, just move into the bottom box, pull a frame or two. I'm really just checking for eggs, just to make sure the colony still has an active laying queen. Alright, just moved through the top box, pulled a few frames, no real signs of brood. So they're just using the top box as a food store, which is pretty typical. In the bottom box, I'm on the 4th frame, checking for eggs. Best way or best place for me to check usually is surrounding some of the brood. I don't see any on that side though. And let's see, surprisingly I don't see any on that side, so let me pull the next frame towards the center, which will be the 5th frame. We're just trying to find some eggs, and that'll be it as far as determining if they're queen right or not. Alright, yeah, we have some eggs over here. About 2-day-old, maybe 2-3-day-old eggs. Very small larvae. And yeah, kind of eggs throughout. Better brood on this side, or older brood that's capped, surrounded by pollen. Pull the next frame real quick just to look at a few more things. That has a yellow plastic foundation, which I'm not the biggest fan of because it really makes it hard to see eggs, or at least for me it does. But yeah, I see a few eggs here and some of the older cells that are darker. So they're still queen right. So that does it for this one. I'm just going to put them back together and top off the feeder. Alright, topped off the feeder and they are all set for another week. Down here in the hive in the 3rd position, which is hive number 1. Just took off the top box. These are using the space nicely to draw out wax on some of the newer frames and basically create a nice food store up there. No brood, so I just took that box off and I'm gonna get into the bottom box. Same thing, pull a few of the center frames and really just checking for brood to make sure they're queen right. No need to look too hard for eggs. I pulled one of the center frames and there she is right there. Darker queen, I found her in a previous video. She could use updated marking, but I'm not even gonna mess with that this week. So one of the things that I did notice by pulling the center 2 frames before I found the queen is they might have a honey bound situation going on. So I might feed them just a little less this week, but we'll see. I'm gonna cage her and then take a look at some of the other frames to figure out if they have more eggs and brood. Alright, let's get her released. I just topped off the feeder, get them boxed up, and call it a day for number 1. And there she goes. Alright, down here at the hive in the 4th position, this is the 2nd hive with the hive top feeder. And the bees they're doing a nice job of using what I'm assuming is the sugar water to create some nice food stores, if you can see that shiny substance in the cells. In the next frame, so mainly the 2 center frames they're making a lot of progress on. They're doing a nice job drawing this out. That's interesting to find a queen cup up here. But yeah, they're doing a nice job drawing the wax out on this frame and storing it on this side, but that's pretty much it. Just the center 2 frames. Everything else, they got a ways to go, but that's fine. So I'm just going to move into the bottom box like the other hives and look for signs that they're queen right. There wasn't too much bee activity in that top box, and I think this is why. Seems like a whole lot of bees. down here in the bottom box, which is a good thing. So I'm just gonna pull the center 2 frames and look for signs that they're queen right again. Alright, so this is the very center frame, nice capped brood, but check out some of that bright yellow pollen the bees are bringing in. So that definitely means they are feeding larvae. Alright, let's look at another frame, see if we can find some eggs, and that'll be it. Alright, this is the very next frame, and check it out, there's the queen right there. I was gonna say I just found some eggs, but look at her, she's nice and big, and in fact it looks like she has a little bit of a white dot from last year. So I'm gonna use the queen clip because I don't have the marking tool handy, but let me try and find her, and I'm gonna cage her and then see if I can get her marked. Alright, this is where things get interesting. So I'm going to try and transfer the queen from the queen cage to the one-handed marking tool, which I have been fairly successful in the past at doing this, but you know. No guarantee each time, so we'll see how this goes. Okay, she just crawled down in there. Let me get a paint pen and we'll get her marked up. The bees are starting to get a little rowdy, so I'm assuming they know I have the queen captured. Just slide the plunger up, get her situated. There we go. And just like that, she's marked. Pull the plunger down. Just gonna give it about 10-20 seconds for her to dry, and then we'll get her released. She is a big queen too. Hopefully her size comes up on camera, but good lord, she is pretty big. Alright, let's get her released, top off the feeder, and that is it. Alright, here she comes. And there she goes. Alright, that does it for the colony in the 4th position. Topped them off with 3/4 of a gallon of feed. Found the queen, marked her, queen right, obviously. But yeah, looking pretty good. I'd say they're good for another week. Alright, so far everything's been going very well this week. I'm down here at hive number 3, which I'll have to put a little more work into than the rest of the hives for this week's inspection. So I decided to leave the frames in the top box. I'm not going to harvest them. So with that said, this is my first opportunity to get into the bottom box, remove 2 frames, and replace those 2 frames with a 1-gallon division board feeder. So a little more to do this week, like I said, than the previous hives, but let's get in there into number 3 and see how they're looking for the week. This colony has consistently had a nice amount of bees in the top box. I have no doubt they're doing what they need to do. They do not have any feed provided, so this will be the first week of doing that. I'm still going to pull a center frame or 2 just to see if the queen's moved up into the top box. Unlike the previous colonies, not much activity in the top boxes just yet, but that more so happens to start here in another month or two once it gets closer to fall. All right, so this colony, if you can't tell, does not like to be opened up often, but I just wanted to take a quick look, show y'all. They do have some very nice frames of brood. They are extremely aggressive compared to the rest of the colonies, so I'm trying to move as quickly as possible. I just removed 2 frames, so I'm just sliding things around to make space for the feeder, and then I'm gonna get them closed up because they are not happy with me at all right now. I just wanted to show you the front. It's pretty much what I thought it would look like. Again, most aggressive hive that I have, just really not happy with me getting into them, but they have some food now, so they should be a little happier, hopefully. Down here at hive number 6, it's the only colony that I have 2 mediums on. The bees are still using the sugar water, drawing out some foundation and creating some food stores, but just like the rest of the colonies, most of the bees are down in the bottom box, so I'm just going to give them some smoke and then pull the center frames, maybe just 2 of them, just checking to see if they're still queen right. If I can find the queen, great. If not, finding eggs is just as good. And put them back together. Well, give them some feed, put them back together, and that'll be it for this week. All right, I pulled the very center frame, nice cap brood. I'm just gonna look for eggs in this open space here. Yeah, sure enough, there's some eggs in practically every cell right here, so that's cool. There's a brand new bee emerging right there, which I'm pretty sure the camera will not pick that up. So that side looks good. Yeah, same thing on that side. Open cells have eggs. So that is it. Number 6 is queen right. So I'm gonna top them off with some feed, and that's it for this week. All right, finishing things up for the week. I'm in the very last colony. It really doesn't have a number for whatever reason, but I just wanted to show y'all the first look when I open them up, because every single week these bees have been just so chill, hanging out on the ventilated inner cover, and that looks like it is the case this week also. All right, let me get the inner cover off. I'm gonna pull a few frames just like the rest of the colonies. This has a newer queen. She's about maybe 2 months old now. Marked her close to a month ago. But it was either last week or the week before when I pulled some frames just to see how the queen's doing. This queen was laying full solid frames of brood. So I'm curious to see if she's still doing that and if things are looking even better than last time. All right, I wanted to get the GoPro recording, so as I pull frames, we can see them for the first time together. So this is the center frame. It's looking pretty nice. And just to check that they're queen right, sure enough, right here we got eggs. Let's pull the frame right next to it. That's more of a food store. The frame next to that one's a new frame they need to build up some foundation on. What about this one over here to the left side? Oh yeah. And there she is right there. Hopefully you can see her. Nice yellow dot. Marked her about a month ago. Like I said, great laying queen. Just doing a fantastic job. Let's get a close up. All right, that does it for me, folks. Another pleasant week in the bees. Another weekly inspection done. As y'all saw, they have all been topped off with some feed, and like I described in the intro, thinner feed than 1-to-1. I'm just trying something new this year. Looks like it's working. They're still using it, assumingly, because this time of year we don't really have too many nectar sources, so I'm assuming they're using the feed that I'm providing, and that's what I'm seeing in the top boxes in the food store frames. Using it to draw out some foundation, and if what I've researched is true, it seems like the thinner feed is giving the colonies a nice boost in brood production. But yeah, that does it for me this week. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up, of course. And if you're local to the Jacksonville, North Carolina area, look us up on Instagram or Google Maps if you're interested in purchasing some local honey. We have some for sale. We sell our honey through the Square website, and then you'll just come by the house and pick it up off of our front porch. So we try to make it easy for folks, but if you have any questions with how to purchase your honey, just message us, get in contact with us through Instagram, Google Voice, text, voicemail, whatever you want to do. We get a lot of spam calls. That's why I said voicemail. Please leave one so we can, we know you're a legitimate, authentic person and not a bot or a solicitor. We do get a lot of spam calls, and basically that's got me out of the habit to replying to every missed call with our text message on how to purchase honey or calling people back, just because it's kind of proven to be a waste of time with all the spam that we get. So anyway, that does it for this week. Thanks for watching. Please tune in next week for another look at the hives. But yeah, they're doing quite nice. Actually, let's go take a look at this. This is kind of interesting to see. This is number 6. They don't have a gap or anything right there, so maybe a handful of bees just got kind of stuck or pushed off the top box as I slid the medium box into place. They'll make their way down. So yeah, all the hives have feeders now. Number 3 is right there. I just pulled 2 frames, as y'all saw. So all the hives have feeders this week. All right, everybody. See y'all next time.